Howdy, Internet. Today we're working on this Bajo Quinto. What we have going on with this today is we're going to replace the output jack because the customer lost the little part the strap goes on. And for the life of me, I can't just find that little part. If I could just find that part, I would sell that little part and not make people buy the entire jack. But that's how it is as far as I know. If anybody knows of a way or knows of a place that sells just that little part the strap goes on, let me know so I can stock those. But for this one, we're replacing the whole jack. It's getting a new set of strings, the GHS BSX10, the stainless steel strings for Bajo Quintos. We're going to adjust the bridge, and we're going to cut the bridge down a little bit, and then it's leaning this way. So we're going to make that fit a lot more snug in the slot on the bridge, the saddle. Let's get started by taking a couple measurements. I'm gonna measure this. Luckily, it has this string on here. That's kind of what I'm gonna use as a reference as far as how far down I have. I can actually take this. So on the bass side, at the 12th fret, it's about 8/64ths. And then on the treble side, it's about 6/64ths. So I think between straightening this up, how much we have here, allow it to come down, and all that, I'm going to start by shaving off 32nd of an inch off the bottom of the saddle after I remove it. But I would have taken the strings off for this because it does take a while to string these. So I appreciate it if you do watch me through this. I left them on so I can get the measurements and to kind of show why it's important. You got to measure first before under string tension and in tune before you actually start doing all these adjustments. I know it's missing the one string, but that's not going to affect everything as much to get this one measurement. Also, if you're familiar with these instruments, the necks are huge on them, so they don't move a lot under string tension. So that tells me what I need to know. Let's begin. Start by whipping these strings off. As always, you can purchase most of the things I use. Some of the tools I use, you can't necessarily buy, like the ruler I used or the thing I'm going to use to shave the bottom of the saddle. I don't sell, but I use them, so I do like them. If I use something, I guess typically endorse it now. But let's start removing all the strings. I like to take them off one at a time. I don't just whip them all off here because as you start to untangle them from the bridge, they start to not entangle amongst each other. My store is located in Baytown, Texas, which is what I kind of refer to as like the armpit of America, or it's like we're a coastal city in Texas, and I work on a lot of Bajo Quintos. And I sell a lot of Bajo Quinto strings. I try to carry just about all the sets I can find for these instruments because they're popular down here. With these strings off, we'll take a look at the saddle, and then we'll swap the input jack on this. Now inside of the instrument, I've already dug out these pieces, which are part of the output jack. So apparently this fell out or fell in the instrument and then was fished out and kind of put back together. I guess they lost that piece that was for the strap, but we're going to replace all of it. I'm going to solder on this brand new connector that we sell. It's a Switchcraft. Should be perfect for this application. If I could just get that one missing strap nut or whatever they call it, I would just reuse the old connector. There's nothing wrong with it. It works. I would even take it out and put these washers back on it. But the fact that we don't have that part, this entire jack has to come out. Well, it doesn't have to, but since the customer is paying for it, I'm going to put it on their instrument. Some of these I'm going to clip so I don't have to deal with. All right, getting there. That's the glory about these instruments is 10 strings. They also come with like open-faced and these style tuners as well. And so kind of my strategy on stringing these changes depending on how it's actually set up. This one was not, last time this one was not strung very well. Yeah, definitely. I have strung this Bajo Quinto before, but I didn't do the last time because I don't string them like that. Mine are usually a lot cleaner. But it's okay. We'll get it right today. Get it good. Got this like transparent, what's this, aqua? This teal? I don't know. Looks neat. You can see the like lovely, elegant binding behind the paint. I do have to be careful on this instrument. Some of this paint that comes up along the sides of the fingerboards chipping off. There's a spot on the back of this instrument where I think the paint's actually kind of bubbling. I'll show that in a second. I took a picture of it before I started working. I believe this was custom ordered from this company out of Mexico. Last string when the actual work starts. All right, I'm gonna turn on my soldering iron, and then I'm going to fish out. Yes, it's already kind of loose, so I'm gonna clean up these old strings and get these out of the way. I like to wrap them up like this. All right, let's get the old jack off. Made a joke and didn't realize it. Output jack. Use this tool. Here we go. I can put this with the other parts that were inside. Push back through. Reach in. We could do this without removing the pickup. I got this out to remove the pickup, but we can do this without doing that. Yeah, these obviously went inside. These go on it like so. So yeah, this definitely, I guess, fell through or fell back in on itself. All right, I don't like to cut the wires. I'm going to desolder them. I'm going to drape this over the instrument. While I do this, and in here we have 3 wires. We have a white, a red, and then a ground. The other thing I do before I go disconnecting everything, I'm going to actually see which wire connects to what. Obviously, the ground wire connects to like the sleeve of this. I'm assuming the white wire is the signal, and then the battery, and then the red wire is what turns the battery on, the battery wire. So let's see the tip, and then I'm going to probe where the white wire connects. Nope, wrong one. Hold on. Okay, I probed where the red wire connects. That's the red wire. The red wire should now be to the sleeve, and it is. The tip is this connector way in here. Let's see if I can get this. This is kind of tricky. Just listening for the beep. Okay, that's the tip. So the white's the tip. The red is, I guess we'll call it the switch leg for the battery. And then like the sleeve of this is soldered on here. Those 3 things need to be desoldered. Let's do it. Start by unfolding the little tabs that get full, that crimp onto the wire. Kind of yank these open. There we go. Got them enough to get it out of the way. I'm going to add a little solder onto my soldering iron, onto the tip. I don't like to do this over the instrument, although I don't really want to, I don't have to remove the whole pickup to do this. Oh snap, there goes my meter. That's all right, they're tough. Ooh, we're actually going to use my tweezers. And desolder each one of these. There's one. I'm going to bend that tab out of the way so I can actually get to that white one for like the tip connector, which is way in the middle. So bend those out of the way. I'm going to desolder this. I tested this before I turned on the camera. This did work. So the only issue is that he doesn't have a place to hook his strap on anymore. A bit more solder onto the tip. And here it goes. There it goes. All right, cool. That's the old one. Put that out of the way. New one. Ooh, this. Don't forget this before you solder it. Gonna be putting the new one on. Brand new. Where's it here? I'm gonna remove this. Gonna remove this. This plug is a little simplified, but it's gonna work. It'll work all the same. If anything, I'll test it just to see that, make sure that it will. The other connector had another extra pin inside, but it's not used. Still in continuity. Want to make sure none of these are continuous with the sleeve. It's not okay. So I always like to test these before I install them. Save me having to resolder it if I assume and solder it onto the wrong one. All right, so the shorter one is the tip, and that goes to the white wire. Yep, and then with it connected, it switches on the extra pin. Okay, here we go. Put this up, I'm done with it. Don't forget this. Goes on. Time to solder. I'm going to start by soldering the ground in this little hook down here. It's coming. Here we go. This stuff's kind of finicky. Here we go. Got it. And the white wire goes to the shorter one. I like to kind of bend the connectors out a little bit. Makes it a little easier to solder. Tweezers and kind of feed them through both. And then solder them both with when I have the iron in my hand. one. Let's do the white one. Oh, okay. Solder, solder. All right, that moved. Fun. New strategy. I'm going to tin the connectors. And then just guide it in. Oh, my solder go? Here it is. Here we go. The white one. White wire. There we go. Ooh, that did not work. All right. Gonna work a little smarter. I'm gonna clamp this down in my beefy vise here. I'm gonna clamp down on the nut. There we go. There we go. That stays a lot easier. All right, let's do the red wire next. No, that's gonna be in the way. Let's try the white wire again. Red wire. Got it tinned. Let's get it in there. And maybe go over it, clean it up a bit. So it's a solid connection. I bridged this one. That's not good. Use flush cutters. Cut the bridge. There it goes. No more bridge. I'm going to carefully try to clean these up. We want a good connection. I'm going to cinch the wire down. I'm just bending these over. And squeezing. This is not going as smoothly as I hoped. That's all right. We'll do it. I'm going to clip that and then strip it again. I was hoping I didn't have to do that, but luckily there's plenty here I can. There we go. Strip. Nice, good, sharp pair of strippers. Boom. Twist them and we tin them. No, that didn't work out good. Try it again. Somehow it mashed the insulation in those wires. Try it again. I actually have to take this back further. We got to restart, unfortunately. That's part of the game. I want to do a good job on this. I think either because of me or when it was originally soldered, the little exposed leads got a little bit too hot, and now the insulation is one with the conductor. So when I go to strip it, it just kind of melts into itself. So we're going to undo this, unsolder it. We're going to take it back and then redo it. Got to do it right. It'll be easier this time because it'll be prepped better. Boom. I'm going to take that, flip it flush, starting over. And then very carefully, we're going to strip off outside insulation. Good. I try the automatic strippers, but those don't always work on this really thin wire. Let's see. Let's just see. I might have to cut it again. Ooh, maybe it worked. Let's see if we can do the red wire. Ooh, that did work. Cool. Twist them. Then I'm going to tin these wires. All right, attempt number 2. I'm going to try a different order with these. We're going to go end out. If I haven't said it already, you can find a lot of the products we use on our website, even some of the tools. All right, that one's on there good now. Let's do it 2 more times and then put this back together and then move on to the other parts. Get this wire through, and then here we go. And solder. Connected. Let's get the ground wire. I'm going to trim it shorter because it does not need to be that long. There we go. Cinch down the crimp again. Got it all soldered. Cinch it together. And before we put it in the instrument, I'm going to give it a quick test. Got that little amp under the... Hold up. Work for a second. Work for a second. I short something. Is the battery getting low? Here we go. It works. All right. Now we got to play the dance of sizing up the nuts correctly so that it tightens down in this hole like it's supposed to, and then the customer's still able to plug it in and get their strap on. Oh, I need to put those these on. I like the StuMac tool that helps me do this. Very helpful. I tighten that washer down, nut down, excuse me. Push it through. Got to do it some more. Almost there, not too much. A little bit more. And just a little bit more, we're good. There we go. The other washer on. The outside nut. Get it started. I should have put it on the tool I used to fish it through. That's all right. I got it, I think. Maybe not. Go back and do it. There we go. That's a good start. All right, cinch this down, we'll move on to the next step, and that's the saddle. I like to use the jack gripping tool. This works good for this. And then this wrench. Some of these tools are on the site. Some of these you get from the other usual sources. Tighten it down. There we go. That's not going anywhere. And of course, you always got to undo it and try again because it's just like that much from being on there properly. If you do these, I guess you can lament my struggle here. These never just going like perfectly on the first time. You always gotta go back. And it's like just by a thread too. My tool stuck. There we go. Okay. And I went too much. Because, right, that's how it works. Like Goldilocks. Too much, too little. And eventually we'll get it and it'll be just right. Still too much. I may have to add a washer or two on here. I think I'll pull off that old washer. We're going to add his old washers on here too. I think the tail block might just be slightly smaller than what's working here. We're going to add a couple more washers on here just in case. He's got them, so we're going to use them. I'm going to add 2 of these, the 2 flat washers, then the 2 star. Try it again. go. I think we got it this time. Knock on wood. Oh yeah, perfect. Cool. Once we cinch it down with the soft jaw pliers, these have plastic jaws in them. Love these tools. There we go. Now it's hard to remove with your fingers. Hopefully that stays on. I don't know. Maybe you could use something on that. I wouldn't recommend anything crazy like Loctite or anything because these have to be serviceable. Before I move on, let me at least test that. We still have sound? Absolutely. Good deal. All right, next step. Next step in this is get a couple tools out of the way, turn my soldering iron off. We're going to shave a 32nd off the saddle, and then we're gonna make this a little bit more solid in here, more solid than that. Let's see how that slot is cut. Start marking this. I've already pretty much got the measurement I need before I pulled the strings off. Ooh, that's what this looks like. We have a really painted, unmasked cavity there that this just kind of sits in. It kind of leans forward. And this thing does play sharp. Forgot to mention that. So let me see if I can get my flat file and clean up the edges of this. That would be the start. Saddle still has to come down. Yeah, all this in here. Use the file. And more so the back of it, so it stands upright more. This is all overspray, or like paint that wasn't cleaned up. Gotta take it easy. The paint's really chippy on this instrument. All right, that looks a little bit better. We're gonna carefully go in and do a little more of that. And then also me looking at this closely, it's not, the bottom of this isn't a complete 90-degree angle. It's actually cut to where it slopes back, but it doesn't do it much good because the slot itself slopes forward. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shave the 32nd off the bottom, and then in this tool that should make it a nice right angle. And then I'm going to add some super glue on the front surface of this so that I can get basically a press fit in here so it won't move at all. And so that's my goal with this. We're going to bring down the action and we're gonna fix the slop that's in that in the slot. I love this tool. I use it a lot. So we set the depth. Use my gauge. And then we're just taking a 30-second here. 30-second of an inch. I know this is probably hard to see on the camera. It's all blurry, but this is how I do it. I use the saddle tool by Heart Sound. And then a nice rule. We're going to tighten it down. And then I always measure again after it's tight, just in case it's shifted. .30 and a 30-second. Cool. So over here, barely on camera, but I'm gonna do this out of sight from the camera, is basically a piece of plexi that I've used double-sided sandpaper on. And then this is great because, you know, I can move it around or throw it under the desk, and, you know, it's a good option for having a nice flat sanding surface. And basically I'm going to do this over there. It'll take me a minute. I'm going to be running this back and forth to essentially cut off that exposed 32nd of an inch. I can do this in my lap right here. Really quickly. Customer wanted the action lowered, and so this is how we're doing it. And slowly but surely it knocks it down. Almost there. There we go. That 32nd of an inch is gone. Feels like it's still catching. I think I'm good. There we go. So that's now 1/32 of an inch shorter. Pull the saddle back out. So, yeah, that looks a lot more like a right angle than it did. We still got a little slop in here, but we're going to take care of that. So on this side, the side with the mark, down here at the bottom, I'm going to add a very thin layer of glue and use some accelerator to cure it. So I just use, I'm not going to do this over the guitar because God help me if I get a super glue on it. But regular, what viscosity is this? Anyway, this is not the super thin stuff. It's like one step above. It's, I think, thinner than regular super glue. It doesn't really matter. The application here is basically just to kind of build up down here along the bottom. That's where I'm going to be applying the glue right underneath there. And then after I cure it, I'll sand it and then refit it to where it's a nice snug fit in that crack. That way it doesn't lean forward with the strings on. Here we go. Again, trying to do this to where y'all can see it too, but not do it over the instrument in case it leaks. It's very carefully. I'm just nice bead. Nice bead. There we go. Perfect. And then cure it. Get this on camera anyway. You can, if you've used these products before, you know how they work. We're going to sit there and let that cure so we don't glue anything to this instrument we don't intend to. So while that kind of cures, I'm going to try to go one step ahead and polish these frets because this is taking new strings. And if you stick around through the stringing, you just might see me play this instrument, which I am not familiar with and not good at playing. I can make some notes out of it, though. To me, I kind of like to think this is, well, it's a bajo, so I guess bass is kind of implied in the name. But the way it's tuned, it makes me think of a bass guitar. So when I kind of play this, that's kind of what I do. Although it's not really, I think it'd be more of like a baritone kind of range. An actual bass range. These frets were not polished. I can tell that's when they put them on. I can tell because I've had to do fret work on instruments from this company before. Over there. Polish the frets. Well, really just cleaning up. I'm not really polishing per se. I'm just cleaning. These frets could probably stand a level crown polish, but that's not why it's in here today. It's in here for these issues that we're taking care of. Action. The saddle slopes forward, causing it to play sharp. And then we fix the output jack. All right, let's see if this is cured. Yep, starting to feel solid. All right, it's high in a couple places. We're going to take it down. Just running it across that sanding plate that you saw me do this bottom of the saddle on. We're just fine tuning it, easing it in there. I think we just got it. Cool. There we go. And again, I chose to put it on the front of it so it causes the saddle to lean back as much as it can, the best it can. But as you can see, a lot less wiggle than there was in there before. All right, we're on the downhill slope of this job. Little cleaning, and then we string it, and then we test it all. Stringing these things isn't my favorite thing to do, but has to be done. Only because there's a lot of strings, and that I hardly play this instrument, so I can't do much with it. Even though I'm sure this is very exciting to a lot of people. This is a cool instrument. Putting a pencil lead into the fret slots, or not the fret slots, I'm sorry, into the nut slots. Clean out the slots and to lubricate them, kind of in one swoop. Then we're going to do the lemon oil, which we sell on the website. sell them in 1 ounce, 4 ounce, and 4 ounce bottles. That is something that's typically readily available for purchase. And not only does this stuff smell great, but man, it makes the fretboard just look so good. I'll even put it on bridges, on acoustic bridges too, the ones that aren't painted. Boom. It's great. All right, so a couple things out of my way here. When I string these, I like to run them all through the bridge first. GHS, the most popular sets I sell. DR made a pretty good set, but DR quit making Bajo Quinto strings. Oh, the little one goes first. That's right. Now they make these with ball ends too now that we carry. We're out at the moment, but they should be in here Monday or Tuesday. That are great for the type of bridges that don't have a saddle. The other Bajo Quinto bridges to where the takeoff point just comes straight out of there. You don't have to fight this hoop anymore with those. And a lot of times it'll be a more stable intonation on the instrument, because as this loops around, and again, imagine the other kind of bridge that you're used to on these instruments. And also one of the next videos, I have one of those Bajo Quintos. I have a Hernandez I'm going to be working on and gluing the bridge on next. These hoops, when they come around, you'll know as a Bajo Quinto player that you have to keep pushing these like forwards and back to get them where you need to, and that actually affects the intonation on the instrument. So with the ball-in strings, it eliminates this altogether. On the ones with the saddle, it doesn't really matter because all that happens behind the saddle. That doesn't affect the intonation. What affected the intonation on this instrument was the fact that the bridge was leaning forward. Saddle was leaning forward, sorry. Bridge, saddle, same thing. No, not really, but that was a joke. Bridge, saddle, bridge, saddle. That was for me, not y'all. Next strings. GHS offers I think 4 different types of Bajo Quinto strings now. They offer the stainless steel ones with loop ends. They have the phosphor bronze with loop ends. They have the bright bronze, which I think is 80/20 bronze, with loop ends. And then they offer the stainless steel ones with ball ends. My experience has been that the most popular ones are the stainless steel, and very close behind that are the phosphor bronze ones. The bright bronze ones are pretty new, and then I got people that, and I get mixed reviews on those. I got people that love them, and then I got people that are like, nah, I like the other ones better. The other Bajo Quinto, the Hernandez, that's going to be a bit of a different video. Mostly gluing the bridge back on that one. I got some hide glue I prepared for that. I'm going to do that repair with hot melt hide glue. And try to keep all the stringing to a minimum. I'm probably going to start that video with no strings on the instrument. So, like I said in all my recent streams, the point of these is not to more or less demonstrate how to do, but yes, partially, yeah. But my goal is to basically do guitar work while I host a podcast, so I can sit here and answer questions and take suggestions that the audience may have while I work on things. You can ask me questions about the store. You can ask me questions about any of the products we carry on the website. You can ask me technical repair questions. You can ask me what strings I like, what tools I use. But more or less, that's the idea behind this. I get it. Stringing an instrument gets boring kind of quickly. But hey, I have to finish this. Y'all can always watch something else. But I appreciate the support. All right, all 10 of these are now in. Now it's time to start. I'm going to move some of these tools so I don't scratch this instrument. This is a custom painted instrument. It's kind of a one of a kind. I think this one was special ordered from the manufacturer. Or at least the color is. Maybe. That's to my understanding. All right, the A strings. This has octave A strings. To me, when I think of this instrument's tuning, I like to think of it as like a bass guitar, minus the E string, and then you're adding a C and an F. A, D, G, C, F. Tuned in fourths. Straight across, kind of like a bass would. In fact, the Bajo sextos are even more like a bass because they have the octave E strings. So it's almost like a 6-string bass with doubled strings. Well, no, not really. The 6-string bass has the B. I think you get what I'm saying. So the octave A. These have like regular guitar tuners, so stringing this is just like any guitar. The ones with the open that have like the open face style, I take a little bit more care into string. Well, not really care. I care equally about both types, but it takes me longer to do those because I have to plan which way they wind and leave that cavity and where they end up and where they actually cross the nut. So there's a little bit of a process I do in that. Here's the issue, and also some people, I'm pretty sure they've come into this, is the hole in the tuner isn't large enough for the string. And that's always fun, right? Let's see how much we have to wind down around that. Oh, that's way too much. So here's the question. Do we widen the hole or do we alter the string? Both are possible. what we're going to do here is we're going to alter the string because I don't want to alter the instrument without the customer's permission. So I'm going to cut this string first, about right there, and then double check it. This is actually kind of interesting for the camera, I think. And so more or less getting a little bit more than I need kind of past it. Actually, I'm going to take this a little shorter because really the only, yeah, right there. The only part, oh yeah, that's perfect. The only part that needs to go, that needs to be the diameter of that hole is just what that goes in the hole. And now I take whatever tool I can use here, and then basically I'm going to unwind the outer wrap of this string. I've had to do that before on these, so if I can find the outer wrap, and it's just kind of like peeling it off. There we go. Got it started. And then so we take this. This is a pain, but I'm glad it happened on camera so I can share this with y'all. This should hopefully, knock on wood, would be the only string I'll have to do. Ah, my pliers locked. Ah, let go. Knock on wood. Hopefully this is the only string I have to do like this with this job. And so just that outer wrap, you can see it coming off, I hope. I'm just removing the outer wrap of the string, leaving the rest of it intact. So that way, this part will now fit in the machine head and at least hopefully allow me to get it started. All right, just like that. And then I like to use the flush cutters, and then the best I can cut them flush. So now we have an end like that. Hopefully that's coming out on camera. Hopefully y'all can see that. And so now that goes in the machine head. Boom. Oh yeah, this ought to work good. That's how you do it. When you have a string that doesn't fit through the machine head, sometimes you have to modify the string. However, I've tried that on certain strings and then the whole string unravels, but that's really only been like tape wound strings. Most round wound strings, and well, all the Bajo Quinto strings I've ever done, because this is the instrument. These are the instruments I've had to do that on the most. I don't have a problem with these GHS strings, at least, so those tend to go pretty well. Hopefully the rest of the stringing will go quickly. Thanks to whoever stuck around with me and witnessed this adventure. Move this out of the way so I can get this in the camera for y'all the best I can. Let me finish stringing it, then I want to show y'all something with the machine heads. That one's on there, next string. Oh yeah, the next A string fit right through, so we don't have to unwind any more strings to complete this job, thank God. After the first couple strings, you kind of get in the rhythm of it. Starts to become quicker. All right. Oop, I grabbed the wrong one. That's not the right string. This is the right string. Yeah, when I finish stringing this, I'm going to show y'all something about the headstock here that's kind of different. I think part of the headstock for most of this has been off camera. Yeah, you can kind of see most of it. Well, that's good at least. Yeah, string, and it's the tuning game. Boom. Okay, so a couple things about this headstock before I tune it and clip the excess. These have a curve to them, and so with the G strings, they hit the machine heads. They hit the other machine heads as they're coming in. There should be like some type of what do they call it, string tree or some maybe helper here to help that. The other thing is a little decal of Pura Lumbre is coming off. Looks like it kind of feels like it was stuck over the paint. I should have put that under the paint. It'll look probably better because it's like silver, and then putting this on it, it would have probably popped through and looked cool. All right, let's tune it. Using a Snark tuner, same Snark tuners I use on guitars, banjos, violins, Bajo Quintos, bass guitars, violas. I've seen it used on cellos, basses. These tuners are great. This is D. This is C. This is F. Ooh, on the larger D string, I'm gonna actually make it a little bit shorter. It's not wrapped as well as I'd like it to be. So I'm gonna loosen it, and then I'm gonna just bring it in like 1/4 of an inch and retighten it. There we go. Okay, that should work well. Yeah. There we go. And even these you kind of have to fight these. This is what I'm talking about, pushing these, or what I was talking about earlier, pushing these loop ends back. All right, trim the excess. Now, my thoughts on, I know some people like to leave the excess on, not on Bajo Quintos, usually on guitars. I don't particularly like it, and it's not about a style choice or about poking yourself. These strings flopping in the wind here will actually cause the string to loosen from the opposite end. So as this is moving around, it's causing these wraps to slowly work themselves loose slightly. So by cutting that, you eliminate most of the movement. So the reason I don't like doing this is because it gives you better tuning stability. Where are my other clippers? And always make sure you don't clip the string you just put on. I've done that before. I think we all do that once in our lives as guitar players or stringed instrument players. They change their strings. All right, one last tune. I'm going to plug it in while I tune it because that's always fun. Test the pickup. I'm now starting to think the reason this didn't originally have the larger A string was because whoever strung it last probably gave up on trying to fit it to the machine head. Well, if they watch this, they'll know how to do it now. that's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for sticking around with me. I'm going to finish tuning it and play it out for just a minute. I by no means play this instrument. I just play other similar stringed instruments. It's a beautiful instrument. Let's see. A lot of strings to tune on this.